Says something. 2021. Could it be? Anyways, let's get to the news, right? The news that you come and get here. Obviously. So, don't forget CSR's vote. It's important for the games, the designers, the publishers, me, and the CSR board, and the people who run the CSR, the CSRs. Look, the more stuff we get to do wrong, the better we can be next time. Failure, my friend, is a friend. That's redundant, but anyways. Okay. I spoke to my consigliere, Robert Carroll. He's my consigliere. And I asked him about TSR, so he sent me a link. And I read the TSR news. And here's my opinion. Come on, man. That's not the way you start a business or you run a business. Anyways, check it out. There's some pretty interesting stuff. You know, some very liberal, opinionated, not liberal, very, I'm saying liberally. He liberally opines. Whatever. Okay, the Mike Denson interview that I was supposed to have on Sunday is canceled. We will reschedule. Mike Denson, airborne over Europe, if I'm not mistaken. Second volume of his, I forget the games, 100 yards. The last 100 yards. That's a GMT game. And instead, it just so happened, Andrew Rourke. He's designing a game called Coalition. And it's a Phalanx game. And I will be interviewing him. He's an Englishman, so his time is 9 o'clock British Standard Time. The regular time is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So look, I'm going to be live with him on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And let's get to know Andrew Rourke and the Coalition game. And just new games that I have just off the top of my head. I don't mean to not mention any other new games, but that's what I have on the top of my head. Lock and Load Publishing with Sean Drulinger's, my God, what's it called? Point Blank, for God's sake. Anyways, I'm looking forward to that big time. The Kickstarter is going to be happening soon. I don't know when. And also, Tiny Battle Publishing's Scream, Aim, Fire. I would have called it Aim, Fire, Scream. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so that's that. And I hope you have a good show. Ciao. And in Spanish, the War Game Reviewer checks out A House Divided. Also, he checks out Battalion Combat Series from MMP. World War II Solitaire Board Game Channel checks out D-Day Dice. The second edition, the Legendary Units, also Patriots and Smugglers. And Atlantic Storm Admirals Edition, the unboxing, and he continues part 2 of a playthrough of 8th Air Force. And Rough Swordsman Wargamer has not a Wargame Wednesday on Open the Box. It's not a Wargame Wednesday. Also, he has Open the Box with GMT's The Dark Summer and Atlantic Chase from GMT Games, obviously the third part in his tutorial. And Jan Heineman of Let's Play History is almost back on track with the amount of videos he has, checking out Fields of Glory 2. Also, something which I cannot pronounce, but it's in German. And Gettysburg Brigade System Test, Kriegsspiel. Also, Strategic Command, World War II, War in Europe, Let's Play History with Jan Heineman. The artist, that is Matt White, checks out a game by CSL called Imperial Bayonets. 1870 sedan. We were not cowards. Julius Fairfax also goes to the Museum of the Aeronautic Museum, I should say, in Madrid. Check it out. And our Spanish-speaking friends, Julius Fairfax being one of them, has a video 2 days ago on Ambon, Burning Suns, and Little Seagulls. That's right. Hex the Hex asks us to, hey, look at this stuff. A video of unboxing games. And Wardy Role Plays World War II is sorting Battle for Normandy. Good luck, brother. Back to the table with a look and his opinion of the new game called Goonies. That's what I said. The CEO of the big board, Kevin, is interviewing Emanuele Sant'Andrea with a new game called Orange Swan. And the chief of bonding with board games is looking rather dapper and interviewing Kevin Boyle on the final days of Victory Games and Shakespeare. As I said before, in Colorado, and I think it's in Seven Springs, maybe, it's the Dragon Man. He's gotta have the best museum in the world! Dragon Man Military Tours with Dragon Man. Austerlitz's Wargame trailer on Little Wars TV. I mean, you want realism? Man. The strong man of Wargames, Rob, born of Rob's Tabletop World, has the Plum Island Horror with the designer, Dream Team designer, Herman Lattman. Check it out. This is a new game coming out. It's on the P500 on GMT. You gotta check these guys out once in your life. These guys are called Blame Society, and they play board games drunk. You heard it. You gotta check it out. And Liz of Beyond Solitaire in podcast episode 46 is interviewing Kevin Bertram on mainstream historical games. Remember The Shores of Tripoli. Combat Board Games checks out Steve Jackson Games' one-page bulge. Counterproductive Games is checking out or unboxing Flying Colors from GMT, a game designed by Mike Nagel. Cody of the Discriminating Gamer takes a look at The Lamps Are Going Out. This is the second edition of the World War I game published by Compass Games.
Hello everyone, this is Michel Leviathan-Sorbet from the Polish YouTube channel Wojennik TV. Here is, as usually, my weekly roundup of the content published on Wojennik TV during the last week. On Sunday I started with a review of a book covering the most important and most climatic battle fought during the Indochina War. This is a book called Les Hommes de Dien Bien Phu, written by Roger Bruges. Roger Bruges was a veteran who fought in Indochina, who then became a journalist. Les Hommes de Dien Bien Phu is a really epic book covering this battle, and in my opinion this is absolutely the best book covering this event. Because Indochina War is my biggest historical passion, I have read several books concerning this battle, including Windrow's The Last Valley or Bernard Fall, Street Without a Joy, others including also books covering the aerial combat over Dien Bien Phu, but Les Hommes de Dien Bien Phu is, in my opinion, by far the best book covering this battle. Unfortunately, it is only in French, so if you're able to grab a copy, if you're able to read this book, I strongly recommend you do it if you're interested in this battle. On Tuesday, the video in English, and this time I focused on Under Falling Skies from Czech Games Edition. This is a solitaire game in which we take control of human forces trying to defend Earth from alien attacks. An interesting, quick-to-play game with an interesting theme, with interesting mechanics, including dice rolling, but dice which we will be allocating to specific places in our underground facility. On Wednesday, the unboxing of a Polish title, but designed by a foreigner, which is called Bouquet. This is a game in which we will be trying to create floristic bouquets of flowers and to sell them to incoming clients. This is a roll and write game, a very simple one, which is quite enjoyable to play, which is also a game which you can use when playing with kids aged 7, 8 or 9 years old. Finally, on Friday, the big review, the review of Imperial Struggle. I decided to publish the Polish review of this game. Wojennik TV was one of the mediatic patrons of the Polish edition of this title, published by Phalanx. Imperial Struggle is a game created by Ananda Gupta and Jason Matthews, the same guys who were behind Twilight Struggle, so I won't be explaining who they are, I won't be explaining what Twilight Struggle is. Imperial Struggle focuses on the struggle between France and Great Britain in the 18th century. This is a really complex game, a game which has a high entry level, but so satisfying. I loved it. I like the theme. I like the complexity of it. I think this is one of the most interesting designs that I had the pleasure to discover during the last months. So those were the 4 videos published on Wojennik TV during the last week. Thank you a lot for watching this brief roundup. Have a nice weekend, great gaming, and see you next time.
Mo of Mo's Game Table is teaching us to play Blue Water Navy with the designer. Also, Cradle of Civilization, a preview, a game by Compass Games, and High Frontier 4, all conflict module preview, and a lot of stuff. The lights and the voice. Seek Out and Play gives us an overview of French Foreign Legion, a game by Ayaquinto. Artie of ARDWULF'S LAIR is unboxing The Third Winter by MMP. Also, I was there, Wargaming. Not Wargaming, what am I saying? Everything you wanted to know about Wargaming but were afraid to ask, with me and him. And next week, please join us, where it's going to be at my house, and we're gonna have a talk about war movies. Also, he's counterclipping and speaking about Avalon Hill and unboxing empires in the Middle Ages, and he can't stop. And the man famously known as Calandale has a slew of videos. He's playing Lincoln. He's wrapping it up. Also, he's playing Lincoln. Also, he gives you Adobe Walls review. And pole ice. I don't know what that is, but check out that beautiful face. Fred Serval of HOLLANDSPIELE has the Zenobia Award. Contestants, check it out! Fred Serval, HOLLANDSPIELE. And the cop that is Wayne Hansen is on a tear. He's playing Pickett's Charge, The Last Attack, at Gettysburg. Also, he's playing the 8th Air Force. This is a tutorial playthrough and top 3 solitaire war games for new wargamers, in his opinion. And the one and only STUKAJOE was live with the return of NEH War Games. Compass Games was live with Town Hall episode 25 with the 2 Bills. GIMPY of the GIMPY Gamer continues Age of Dogfights by Predrag Lazevich, a World War II. He's got new rules happening there. He sent me the new rules also. Thank you very much, Predrag. Also, the GIMPY Gamer Point Blank, Sean Drulinger's Point Blank, will be published by Oaken Night Publishing in an upcoming Kickstarter. Companies of Heroes, Going Big, Part 3. The GIMPY of the GIMPY Gamer. And the Players Aid are unboxing Heart of Darkness from Legion War Games. Also unboxing Napoleon's Imperium from Compass War Games. And they're reviewing Fallen Timbers 1794 from High Flying Dice. And they review my good friend Bayonet and Tomahawks, Monsieur Rodrigue. Remember Kalismar? He's back! The Lonesome Gamer with Plays of Rome, a game in a magazine. I should say, actually, it's one of those plastic games. It was a magazine game of Against the All. Napoleon's Triumph. What's in the box? I just got nailed with $45 of what's in the box from UPS. Please, if someone's gonna send me a review copy of something, don't put the price, the retail price on the box. I pay! The gents of Shut Up and Sit Down checks out 2021's most exciting board games. JK War Games checks out J. Kirkpatrick's new game from Tiny Battle Publishing called Scream, Aim, Horror! Yeehaw! Ronnie Tucker, artist and illustrator and country guitar player, checks out Operation Jubilee, turn 11 of 11 from Strategy and Tactics magazine. Yeehaw! And the great and entertaining channel of War Stories with Mark Felton. Escape from Sobibor. The true story. It's true. Episode 2. Mauro Faina's live with Il Giannizzero Nero. ID Jester is on a tear with the first International Clank Tournament. This is the 3rd round. Also, Tainted Grail, Empire of Sin, The Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, Scenario 4. ID Jester, ladies and gentlemen. And the man who goes by the name of Jeff, still obsessing on Storms Above the Reich, a game by Jeremy White, published by GMT. And yeah, good game. And on Anti-Tank Chats number 2, Panzerbücher 39. And for our Italian listeners, the Professor Ricardo Mazzini looks at Tactical number 6 in his war log, Il Movimento, the movement of Heroes of Normandy, a game by Oaken Night Publishing. Also, Scipio News. I don't know what that is, but this is the beginning. And Patrick's Tactics and Tutorial checks out the action-adventure pulp series of the 1930s, Explorers of the Lost World, instruction and playtest session number 1. And my consigliere Robert Carroll of KilRoyWasHere, Roads to Gettysburg 2, Lee Strikes North. This is a game by MMP and Pemberton and Grant, Vicksburg Campaign. This is a game by Worthington Publishing, and Kilroy goes off the shelf. Are you a board game with paper maps, or not. Check out Wise Guy History's channel with the saga of the 2nd Main Infantry Regiment, also Gettysburg, the Peach Orchard, and a guide to Gettysburg War Games. That's right. Also, The Sunken Road, None But Heroes. That was live.
Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review, the punk rock band of war game review institutions. First game we reviewed on the website is GDW, The Battle of the Alma. It's a Crimean war game of Allies versus Russians. It's pretty interesting, and it's a fun game that only takes about maybe an hour to play, or an hour and a half to play, which isn't long at all. Next thing we did was on YouTube. It was War Game Chat number 15, and we talked about game shops. We went through all the game shops and hobby shops that carried war game related stuff since the early 1970s to the present. And then we did a first look at SPI and TSR's Firefight. It's a Cold War era game that was partially funded by the Army. And then last we did a preview of a game called Card Z. It's a zombie card game with all the elements you would want in a zombie game. Thanks for watching and have a good evening.
And the Grognard of the year 2020, Jim Ozarski, voted by you, the people, on No Enemies Here, plays the Battle of Pelpas for Fields of Glory. Vento Nuevo goes on about their new game, Orange Swan, the fall 1941, the Japanese Oceanic Blitz, plus the surprise attack. Glad to see Jeff McAleer back on track and doing what he does best on the Gaming Gang. He checks out Imperium, Classics, Review, and How to Play. One important video you must watch, and it's 1812 Invasion of Canada, a playthrough from Academy Games, with the awesome production that is Poindexter Games. London's Burning by Avalon Hill, August 14th, 1940. Check out this guy's videos. I love them.
Hello all. Today, Kilroy goes off the shelf. Literally. I'm talking about shelves and how we store our war games. Now, my first war games were Avalon Hill, and Avalon Hill came up with the distinctive style of the bookcase game. And so a lot of my games that I started out with, I stored them as a bookcase because it says it's a bookcase. You've got to store them that way, right? Well, that becomes a little cumbersome because your stuff, gravitates towards the bottom of the box and makes it messy and falls all apart unless you use bags. And it's really hard to use counter trays unless they lock. So that becomes an issue. But I tend to store at my Avalon Hill games just out of habit as bookcase, and the rest of my games I kind of tend to store flat. So you have the bookcase versus the flat. And that's not an issue that is unique to war games, as Euro games also have some of the same issues, and I tend to try to store them flat. So that's one aspect, is do you store them upright or flat? And that is partially dependent upon, do you use counter trays, or do you bag, or do you use some other type of storage trays that sometimes you get the Plano boxes or other type of trays that you can use. Another thing is, what shelves do you use? I tend to like these Calyx shells or Calyx shells from IKEA because they fit the games pretty nicely. As you said, if you store them with upright, you don't get as many as if you store them flat, and then you can push a few upright onto the side there. So, but I tend to find these as a nice storage mechanism because they can fit quite a few games in there. So what's the next aspect? So first you have, do you store upright or flat? Do you bag or do you tray? And then the third aspect is, how do you put your games on the shelf? I tend to kind of go chronological by kind of publisher. I start off with my Avalon Hill games and do those chronological by kind of topic, just out of habit. And then I try to fill in spaces as I go. So I kind of have my Avalon Hill bookcase and then some Victory games, which are kind of related to Avalon Hill bookcase. And then go into my Ancients and get into somewhat of an ancient vibe or timeline there. Then I kind of go into my Columbia games. And there are some Victory Point games, which are kind of just, I don't know, because they have the sleeve, they feel like Columbia games. I kind of go similar there. Then I kind of just go into my Phalanx or Mayfair. They're kind of a combination there of games. But then I just kind of start working my way by topic. There's my Civil War, and here is Men of Iron and Medieval era. Here is Napoleonic, which has grown dramatically over the last few months. It's up to a little over 2 shelves, almost three cubes, I should say. There's Revolutionary War, various different wars there, but also trying to group some of the Compass games, the No Peace Without Spain series. I have my American Indian or Native American era, topic there. Academy Games. As you see, I mean, there's somewhat of a method to the madness, but it's a lot of madness. But, you know, you kind of have to go with what you have space for. It's really a matter of the size of your collection, the space you have, and how you want to kind of fit it together. So, you know, your mileage may vary. You might want to store it differently. You know, I kind of do a combination of by publisher. So like there's MMP and topic where I can. There's my coin games. But it kind of varies because at some point you need to kind of fill in the holes in your collection. So how do you guys store your games? Do you upright, flat? Do you bag, tray? Do you go chronological or by publisher or by topic or some combination thereof like I do? Love to hear your thoughts. Bye-bye.
Another week, another show. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And please think of becoming a supporter on Patreon. We have a new supporter. It's Britt. Britt! And he's actually in Britain, I think. Huh? Thanks, Britt. I wanted to show you something. It's March on the Drina, right? Okay, I'm trying to take out the glare. Right, World War I by Princeps Games, right? Yeah, Princeps Games, sorry. But I want to show you something. Huh? Have a great weekend, man. Thank you very much for watching. You want to know something? I'll tell you why your life has changed. Tiganis. I wanted to stick around, but then those pesky Persians. Eh? Wait. Then these guys came around. And you know what they gave you? They changed your life. They gave you toilets. And then there was unrest. They just wanted to rest. But now there was the unrest. So these guys, well, they had to fight these guys. The savages! Why am I doing this? Why is he doing this? I'll tell you why. I'm leading up to something that changed your life! And then, those savages, they became civil. And then they fought against these guys! For the Queen and country! And what did we do? Well, we changed your life! Well, there was other people. It was the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish. They just were a little whatever. But one of these people really didn't like for Queen and country. Ich heiße Oberleutnant Kaiser! They even took the old Roman Caesar, which is not really Caesar, it's Kaiser, and he called himself Kaiser! The Gaul! No, the Gaul were beaten by the English, or so they say, because these are the Gauls! But what about the worst time in history? Son, some things are better left unsaid. Wrong! You gotta learn these things so we don't repeat it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the worst time in history. This epitomizes evil. It's still in our history. And this week, these guys launched Operation Barbarossa to attack Russia, their allies. So they stabbed them in the back. Well, how many men? Well, I'd say about 3 million Germans. And whoa, the logistics just on that. You gotta get the horses, the tanks, the gas. But they were gonna take over Russia, and Russia had enough gas. So they thought. Well, we're gonna go through history, week by week, battle by battle. Stick around!